Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sophia and today I'm going to show you, after we've done the envelope back cushion, how to do a zipped version of it. So I have created this rather crazy printed cushion cover. Again, didn't have a cushion pad, so I've done the same size example, which is 30 centimeters square, and I've done a zip at the bottom to show you exactly how to do it. I actually love this fabric. My friend gave it to me. I think it was like one of those things where she asked someone to bring it back from Africa, and then they did, and then she never did anything with it. So I have promised her that I'll make something with it for her to say thank you, because I just love this print so much. So maybe I will send her this cushion cover. Don't worry, I'll buy her a cushion pad as well, because that's a bit mean. But yes, I just thought it would be really nice to show you exactly how I do my zipped based cushions. And hopefully you will enjoy this tutorial and then send me lots of nice photos of your zipped cushion covers. So let's get on with the tutorial. Okay, so all you're going to need for this tutorial is some fabric, a zip, some pins and a pair of scissors, and of course a sewing machine. Okay, so once again I've done a quick layout guide for you. So I'm pretending again that my cushion pad that I've got is a 30 centimeters square. So just like we did for the envelope back cushion, I need to add a centimetre per side on each of my pieces of fabric. So my front is going to be cut to 32 by 32 because I've got a 30 centimetre cushion pad and I've added a centimetre either side. So 32 by 32 centimetres square. And now my back, you're just going to add an extra centimetre to the length of it. So if you have a directional fabric, make sure you add a centimetre at the bottom for a little fold over to cover your zip, because it just makes it look neater. So for your back, you're going to cut it 32 centimetres wide, but 33 centimetres long. So you only need to sort of like be really careful if you've got a directional fabric, because you want the extra centimetre to be at the bottom of your cushion. And then of course you need a zip. Now I always use continuous zippers for soft furnishings, so I can cut them to the exact size I need. So I've cut mine to 32 centimetres. If you have a 30 centimetre zip, don't worry, you can still use that because the ends will be slightly over, so it's exactly the same process. Okay, so I've got my cushion front here, which is the square piece, so without the extra centimetre. So all you need to do first is get your zipper and lay it face down at the bottom. So if you've got a nice pretty fabric and you want it a certain direction, that's something to note. In fact, I might swap this round and put it at the bottom. I've got this lovely African wax print that I'm using for this, so I'm sorry if it's a bit bright and busy. But you're going to lay your zip over the bottom like that, and we're just going to pin these edges together. So one edge of my zip is lined up against the raw edge of the cushion pad with my zipper face down, so my teeth are on the bottom. Okay, so this is how it looks. My zip is face down with my cushion right side up, and the raw edge and the edge of the zip are together and pinned. So what we're going to do is sew a lovely straight line along this edge here. So close to the zipper teeth, but not too close please, because it will make your cushion very tight and very hard to undo. I'm going to use a zipper foot, and I'm just going to slowly go down this edge here. And I've just realised holding this that I've put my zips the wrong direction, but that doesn't matter. If you pinned it this way, swap your pins around, because I'm about to do that now. Okay, so I've put my zipper foot attachment on my machine, and once I place this underneath, on mine, if I line up the edge of my zipper feet, the outside edge, with the raw edge of the zip and the fabric, my needle, if you just lower it into your fabric, you can see where your needle is going to end up, and mine's going to be a few millimeters away from the zip teeth, which is perfect. So you're just going to do a straight line all the way down next to your zipper teeth. When you get to your zip slider, a little trick, because if you sew around that, you're going to have a lump in your zip and it won't be straight. So a little trick, leave your needle down in your fabric, lift your foot up, and then slowly pivot around the needle, grab the slider from underneath and just push it along. It's a little bit fiddly. But once you've moved out of the way, you can then pivot back around, lower your foot and carry on sewing. Okay, so I've used contrasting thread just so you can see it a little bit clearly. So can you see that my stitch line is just a few millimeters away from the teeth? So if I fold it this way, you'll see that that's where my teeth are and there's a little gap. That is really, really important because you don't want it too close, especially if you use upholstery weight fabric, because it would be so thick you won't be able to undo it. So now we're going to attach our back. So now get your back and lay it right side up and make sure that you put the bottom extra centimetre where you want your zip joined at the bottom. Now get your piece that you've just sewn with the zip attachment and you're almost going to do exactly what you just did, but pretending that this fabric attached isn't there. So we're moving all of that fabric out the way, but again we're lining up the edge of the zipper with the raw edge of the bottom of your back piece, and again we're going to pin all along this edge. And once you've got that pinned, you're just going to sew exactly how you did it before. So once you've done that, you should have something that looks like this with our fabric either side. My zip's just a little bit open where I move the slider out the way. So once you've got that, now is the tricky bit. So now you want to lay your fabric again, right size up with the zip now in the middle. Now this is my back piece with the extra centimetre and this is my front piece. So just make sure you know which one's which. Put a pin in the back piece if it's easier. What you're going to now do is, moving that fabric out the way, you're now going to fold this back piece until the seam covers up the zip and then meets the bottom edge of that fabric there. Now I know it's probably really annoying to look at because I haven't actually pattern matched this, but I don't have time. Well, basically I'm just lazy. But you want to fold that so that it sort of meets the edge of the fabric from your front piece, and you're just going to really quickly give that a gentle press over the top. The reason I say gentle press is just in case you melt your plastic teeth underneath. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to show you the pressed version so you can see. So this is my back piece and I've just pressed that. You can see the fold so that it folds to that line there. And my zip is flat underneath, so there's no curling of seam allowances in the wrong direction. So now what we're going to do is again pin this folded pressed edge along our zip tape underneath. Okay, so once that's pinned and you've just caught the zip tape underneath, we're now going to sew a little line all the way across. So from the edge, again, use your zipper foot, but you don't need to go that close this time. So what I normally do is feel where the ridge of the zip is and just go a little bit beyond that, and then just keep an eye on it all the way down to try and keep it as straight as possible. If you are a bit of a wobbly sewer and you never get straight lines, you might find it easier if you get a piece of masking tape and just stick literally a piece of masking tape to your fabric in a straight line, and that's where you know that if you just keep your needle against the masking tape, it will make it a lot easier for you. So we're just going to sew this little fold over fabric flat to the zipper tape underneath. Okay, hopefully you can see this clearly enough because I've used white bobbin thread and red top thread, so hopefully it's obvious enough for you to see. But that is my sewn line there. You can see that that's where the folded edge is covering the zip, and if I flip it over, you'll see my white bobbin thread just a few millimeters beyond that first line of stitching. So it's sort of like quite near the edge of the zip, and that's what you want to keep the zip nice and flat and this fold over to stay exactly where you want it. Now, I am going to do this next bit. You don't have to do this, but on this side, where this seam allowance is here, because it's still flopping around, you can edge stitch a little line next to this folded seam, just to keep the seam allowances and the zipper flat to your cushion. So you can just edge stitch it. I'm just going to do it for you now just so you can see what it looks like, but it's really recommended if you're using quite thick upholstery weight fabric, because it will keep all the seam allowances away from the zip teeth and stop them getting in the way. Okay, so hopefully you can see this clearly enough. I actually think I have a slight tension problem, which is why you can see my bobbin thread, because I've been doing a lot of sewing lately and I haven't changed my needle, so I need to mess with that. So I'm really sorry this looks messy, but just take it where it is, not the quality of my sewing. So here's my stitch line with the flap covering the zip, and there's my edge stitch really close to that zipper. And if I flip it over, you can see that I've just caught it along basically the same, a similar line to my previous where that white bobbin thread is. So it's really close, and it just keeps this fabric out of the way. And like I said, if you have upholstery weight fabric, it's really important to do that to keep all the bulk away from the zipper teeth. So now we're just going to sew our cushion up. So what you're going to do is, if you lay out your cushion with the zip in the middle, where your back folded part is that lifts up, you want that bit to be the bottom of your cushion. So this seam that with the edge stitching on, I'm just going to fold over the top. So basically we're keeping our zip flat underneath, and we're just folding the front over the top of the back. And once you've got them together, this is my flat zip underneath. And now you're going to pin the remaining 3 sides, and you're just going to sew up across the top and back down again to the bottom. And you are going to sew over your zip to seal that in. And again, just go really slowly over your zipper teeth because you don't want to break your needle. It will sound a bit horrendous, but I promise you it will be absolutely fine. But like we did at the beginning, because we added a centimetre of seam allowance, you're going to just do a 10mm seam allowance, 1 centimetre seam allowance around the edge of your the remaining 3 sides. One thing I forgot to say is, before you sew your cushion, don't forget to open your zip a little bit before you sew the 3 sides. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this afterwards, and that's my zip flat on the bottom. You see that where I started and went over the zip really carefully. So now we have to do is trim the corners, so not too close, exactly like the envelope back cushion, about there. So there's a few millimeters between the stitching and the edge of the fabric. You're going to do that on all 4 corners, and you can, if you want to, just trim a tiny bit off the zip corners, but be careful not to cut any of your stitching. That's just to reduce the bulk slightly. So once you've trimmed your corners, you're just going to use a zigzag stitch to go over the raw edges. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but it will make your cushion last a lot longer. So once you've done your zigzagging, you should have something that looks like this. So now through the gap in the bottom, we're just going to turn it the right way around. Poke out the corners and you should have a lovely, neat zip cushion that's ready for a quick iron. Okay, so I really hoped you enjoyed that, and I hope that it all made sense. If you want me to go over anything, then please do comment below and I will try my best to answer as quickly as possible. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe because it really does make a difference to me. And hopefully we're building this really fun sewing community. And I've had so many lovely emails and messages from all of you so far and on Instagram, so thank you so much. It's just making this whole isolation scenario so much better, so thank you. And hopefully this tutorial was clear enough. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again for another video. Happy handmade, everyone!